Hi, my name is Brenna McNally. I am a freshman at Feather River College. I'm in English 101. My professor is Gina Warren, and the topic that I'm going to be discussing today is constitutional privacy and the nationwide medical impacts of overturning Roe v. Wade. So, a little bit of overview. In this presentation, I will be discussing how overturning Roe v. Wade has increased health risks by limiting access to reproductive care, how Dobbs versus Jackson created legal fear and uncertainty, how Roe v. Wade is connected to medical privacy, and how removing federal protections has fragmented healthcare nationwide, and why Roe v. Wade needs to be codified in our Constitution. So, my thesis: the overturning of Roe v. Wade is not only detrimental to women's health and safety, but to everyone's medical privacy and needs to be reinstated and codified in our Constitution. So, the overturning of Roe v. Wade increased health risks by limiting access to reproductive care. In states with severe abortion bans, doctors are reporting delays in care for miscarriages and other life-threatening pregnancy complications. An instance is there was this 10-year-old rape victim in Ohio who crossed state lines in order to receive the health care that she required, and the doctor who was able to provide that, even though they were in a state that had not yet been overturned, the physician still faced repercussions, and the repercussions and almost lost her license. So clinicians are forced to navigate these laws while facing threats to their medical license, as that one example that I gave, felony charges, and even prison sentences as of recent. So these very preventable health risks rise in the legal aftermath of Roe's overturning, and that has left healthcare professions extremely uncertain about where they stand in their career, their duty to both help the public, but also their duty in keeping their jobs and remaining not a criminal. So, Dobbs versus Jackson created legal fear and uncertainty. So, the reversal of Roe v. Wade was done through Dobbs versus Jackson, which happened in 2022. So the Dobbs versus Jackson has created conflicts between law and patient confidentiality, which, medical privacy. The healthcare providers hesitate on providing life-saving care because they are afraid of losing their license, the fear of criminal investigation, and which has caused pressure to disclose private medical records. So physicians and health systems are also at a risk at being investigated and intimidated in states that still even allow abortion. As for instance, again, a callback to the example I gave you, the physician and that 10-year-old girl traveled to a state that had not yet had the ban, and still there were repercussions and consequences. So how Roe v. Wade even connects to medical privacy. Roe v. Wade was put in place through the 14th Amendment under medical privacy. By overturning Roe, it has weakened medical privacy, of course, because it was done through medical privacy, and it has increased government intrusion into healthcare choices. So no longer are healthcare choices primarily based on the complete well-being of the patient, but has now become more political. And the new threats to medical data collections and monitoring, and with the growth of technology and digital surveillance, data tracking has become a big thing in order to prosecute those who have sought out healthcare. So by removing federal protections, it has fragmented healthcare nationwide. Those like the 10-year-old have to travel long distance for basic medical care, as well as just because it is banned, it's not necessarily creating that people are no longer having abortions. It's just creating a rise in unsafe and illegal procedures that are deadly and have high risk to the patient. patients are forced to just forego care altogether. If they can't travel or can't afford to travel that long distance in order to get that basic care, and if they are obviously and rightfully so hesitant to receive the unsafe and illegal procedures, they are forced to not get the care they need altogether, which is deadly and very harmful to the patient. So providers are now also fearing criminal implication, which is causing a decrease in care for miscarriages and delay in care for miscarriages. So there's also been a growth in criminalization of pregnancy outcomes. So even if you get a miscarriage, you go to the doctor to get, any tissue that's still left over. You could be charged with getting an abortion, and these are very preventable risks to the patient's lives. So Roe v. Wade needs to be codified in order to ensure everyone's medical privacy. So by codifying Roe v. Wade, it would institutionalize nationwide legal clarity. It would protect our medical privacy from political shifts and would give back the control over to private medical decisions. There would be preservation of medical privacy for all, as I mentioned earlier, and the federal protections would eliminate disparities. And as Garrow says in his article that I sourced at the end of this video, people have the fundamental right to decide if they want to be parents. So in conclusion, Roe v. Wade once protected medical privacy, and by codifying it would ensure its stability. Equal protections for everyone and medical privacy is no longer guaranteed, and providers are forced to choose between giving essential and basic care to their patients or the risk of criminalization. Thank you so much for listening. Here are my sources. Hope you have a good rest of your day.